Welcome to the Misophonia podcast. This is episode 16 of season 3. My name's Adil Ahmad, and I have Misophonia. This week's interview is finally out of Germany after 3 weeks straight, and we're going to catch up with a past guest, Tim, who was actually the fourth person I interviewed. Many of you filled out a Misophonia survey by Tim for a project he's working on, and we'll get a little update on that. We'll hear how it's been like to be at college as they start opening back up in person, as well as some success he's been having handling his misophonia through a couple of mental and physical shifts in his life. I just checked the calendar for future interviews for season 4, and it looks like there are at least 22 interviews lined up already to be recorded in March. So that's going to be another solid season here in 2021. Always room for more, so you can go to the website, misophoniapodcast.com, and find the Be a Guest link. I've been also forgetting to mention our contact info up front, so just to let you know, you can email me at hello@misophoniapodcast.com or find us on social at misophoniapodcast. All right, let's just get into this week's catch-up conversation with Tim. Tim, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh yeah, glad to be here again.
Yeah, so why don't we maybe give it a little... you were on one of the, first 5, or I didn't even look back, actually, the first 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah, I think I was actually episode 4. It was December 4th is when you posted it of last year.
Right.
So
yeah, I remember, when we talked a little bit about, obviously, your past. We talked about, I want to hear how things are going at school. Obviously, we did not anticipate, the changes.
Yeah, that's been a whole thing.
Yeah, and then you were working on some interesting projects, and you had like a survey that a lot of people, I think, responded to. So
yeah,
and it's actually come up on a couple episodes. People have referred to.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Got to hear someone else talk about me. It was very fun.
Right. In a good way, at least on tape.
Yeah.
But so yeah, why don't we go back to like what's been going. Do you want to talk about maybe that survey, since we're there, and how things have gone since then? I'm sure people would be curious, like what happened with their responses.
Yeah, I can cover that briefly. So for those of you who don't know, sometime, I think it was early spring of 2020, I sent out a survey asking people, a couple questions about misophonia and what kind of triggers they had and what they would like to see in, things to help them. It was crazy. I got like 300 responses in 2 days. Absolutely incredible. I only needed like 50, and so I got all this data. It was awesome. And the reason I put out that survey is I'm working on a project to help people cope with misophonia better. I can't say too much about it, obviously, NDAs and copyrights and blah, blah, blah. But basically, what I'm working on is some sort of device to help people block out triggers way better. And I've actually made some significant progress on it recently. So, and the surveys helped with that tremendously. I was able to get some more funding and stuff because of the answers from the surveys. So if I make some huge progress and have something meaningful to talk about, hopefully sometime in the near future I will post that somewhere, so hopefully you'll be hearing something good soon.
Yeah, we talked about it briefly, like off the air-ish, because it's kind of hush hush and very exciting. So that's cool. Definitely be we'd love to get the scoop on if there's any good progress on that. So
once something that I can talk about happens, I will be talking about it because I'm pretty excited. And again, just thank you everybody who did the surveys. I know it was something little, but it really, really helped me out. So I really appreciate it. And it was awesome just like hearing from, basically over 300 people who had misophonia, and I emailed a lot of you guys back and we had small conversations. It was really great.
Yeah, it's a great community type people, and we all look out for each other. So yeah, that's great with the survey. Yeah. So, but you're still in school, right? Is that the case
Yes.
down
Yeah.
down in Missouri? So, you want to talk
Mississippi,
about?
not
Oh,
Missouri.
Mississippi. Sorry. Okay. Oh yeah. Hey, I'm a recent American citizen, so cut me some slack. We talked. Yeah, I guess it was late last year, and the world was all relatively rosy.
Mm-hmm.
People were going into school. People were going to work. You want to
Yeah.
talk about like what's it been like since March, I guess, for you?
Yeah. Well, I guess starting with March, obviously, Mississippi State, the university, closed down. They shut off campus. I had to go back home and finish, the rest of the semester online. And that was kind of tough because, for one, I didn't have my own room anymore. I had to live with my family, and the internet was bad, and people didn't know how to do online classes. And all in all, it was just like a heightened level of stress. And you combine that with, living with people again, and that was really tough to handle. That was actually when I bought some noise canceling headphones instead of just a little earbuds. That helped tremendously. I got the Sony's.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, the new Sony's, I think the Mark IVs just came out, or maybe that was
yeah, I
before.
ended up getting the
Or
Mark threes actually, which was
yeah,
frustrating because I got them right before the Force came out, and so
yeah,
they were super
yeah,
expensive. And then the Force came out
right,
and they dropped like $100, and
yeah,
I was like, man,
yeah.
should have waited like a week. But yeah,
That's 2020. You never know what's gonna happen.
yeah. And I had my internship over the summer canceled, and so I had to work
Oh,
construction, which wasn't bad. Um, but I had to live with my family over the whole summer instead of what I was expecting, which was getting my own apartment somewhere else and living by
yeah.
myself and all that. And so,
And you have a relatively large family, I believe, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I have 9 siblings. Some of them have moved out. So I think over the summer, how many were there? One, two, three. I want to say I think 7 siblings and my 2 parents, including me, were in the house this summer. And so that's a lot of people. And for most of
Yeah.
the summer, I was sharing a room with one of my brothers, and that gets tough on its own because he doesn't have misophonia, and we had very different
Yeah.
schedules, and so there's a little bit of tension there. Um,
Yeah.
I'll say the worst part of the entire summer was the last 5 weeks because I was working a full-time job, and then I decided to take physics 2 in 5 weeks, which was a really smart idea. Um,
Like a compressed schedule for this one
yeah,
course. Okay.
Yeah. And fortunately, it was only physics too, but it was really, really difficult because I had
Yeah.
like 2 hour classes, 2 hour videos to watch every single day after I got home from work. And so I was drinking, 3 monsters a day, barely getting any sleep, that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
combined with the stress and all of that, my misophonia, it's probably the worst it's been in a couple years, to be honest. Those
Mm.
last few weeks, it was really bad. But fortunately, they let us come back to campus this semester. Some of the classes are online, some of them are in person. So I get to live in my single dorm room again, and I get to, get enough sleep, exercise, and all that stuff. So it's gotten better since then.
So you're in your single dorm room, meaning it's that single apartment. It's just you in
Yep.
there.
Now it is
Yeah.
it is on a
Nice.
hallway with other dorm rooms, but it's
Right.
my own little space.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. That's nice. And how's that floor? Like, is it do they respect sound after hours kind of thing, or is
Oh
it
yeah. Yeah, I haven't
okay?
had any problems. Normally the people in this dorm are we all basically are here because we want quiet and we want to be away from people. And so
Mm,
everybody pretty much just, you know, keeps their distance, keeps the volume down. We're all pretty
yeah.
respectful of that, which is good.
Yeah, keeping your distance. This is one of the things that I think would be a great permanent change for us
Oh
misophones.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you thought about that? Like, yeah, obviously you've had some rough patches with because of COVID, being at home, obviously not fun, doing compressed schedule at home, not being fun. But have you thought about some of the maybe the positives that you want to see continue?
Um, you know,
Maybe
honestly,
that's it. Just staying away from people
apart
if you
apart
if you
from the
want to,
fact
if you
that
want to. Yeah,
yeah, apart from the fact that it's a lot easier right now to just not be around people,
yeah,
and I have a better excuse not to eat with people. at the moment, because like everybody's gonna have their masks off and whatever, and so I can make that an excuse.
Right.
But other than that, honestly, there's not really a whole ton that I like except for being alone.
Right, 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 right. Yeah. I mean, and that's a big thing in those moments when you don't want to be triggered. Just being able to be alone and separated from people, I guess, is
Yeah, it's
it's
nice.
good. It's good. I think going forward it'll be easier to have that option. Um,
Yeah, and I
so
think I think people are more like comfortable with just saying, "Hey, I don't want to hang out" or stuff like
right.
that
That's
because
right.
we've had to get comfortable with it, and that's another plus. So
Right. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. That's you, you spent your summer with your family. You got a pretty large family, and you have other siblings. You were living with your brother who didn't have Misa, but I think you do have siblings with misophonia as well,
yeah,
right?
actually, it used to be just me, my dad, and his has gotten better. I talked about that in the last episode,
Yeah.
and then my little brother. But that number has grown since then. Two of my younger sisters have also developed misophonia to some
Wait,
extent.
since we talked
Yeah,
last. Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah. So the number is growing. I think at this point they outnumber the non-misophones in the house. So that's cool.
Oh, this is like a little Supreme Court situation here.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. So how has okay, yeah, that's without we don't need to like maybe put words in people's mouth or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'd love to have your siblings on the podcast if they wanted to. I'm curious, how did that develop? Did it develop kind of during or did it kind of come out during this COVID time when everyone had to be back together, or was it brewing slowly for them? I'm just curious how at this age that they started to
Yeah.
exhibit signs.
I have four younger siblings, and there's my younger sister, then younger brother, then two more sisters, and so my younger brother's the one who developed it, a few years ago, and then the sister younger than him, she just started developing it, not very majorly as far as I know, but she's been having some triggers, and I think that's just classic onset of puberty, that sort of thing. A little
Okay,
a
so they
little late,
are, yeah, right. Okay.
but I don't remember how old she is. I think she's shoot. I think
Hey, you
she's
got a lot. It's
16.
hard to keep track. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it. But the sister right below me, she had visual triggers for a while before she had any auditory
Oh,
triggers, which is interesting. It's really
yeah.
strange. But recently, I think in the past, 8, 10 months or so, she started developing some auditory triggers, and those just kind of exponentially exploded along with
Hmm.
her visual triggers. I think it has to do with stress, and
Yeah.
she had a not great job for a while at
Mm-hmm.
a kitchen, and so that could have something to do with it. But
Right.
yeah,
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That's so yeah, yeah, because your some of your siblings are obviously around that age when this kind of usually starts.
yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And so has that kind of changed the dynamics in the house at all? Like have just everyone suddenly have soundproof bedrooms and
Man,
are
I
there like
wish.
strict regulations posted on the fridge?
Honestly, that would be great. But really, the only things now are, we have two different tables where we eat at. All the non-misophones
Ah,
eat at one table. All the misophones eat at another table with earbuds
and
in.
the oh, okay, yeah, and maybe the chairs are facing outward at that
Yeah,
table.
yeah. And
No, but
and it's a very common conversation
yeah,
now that like, hey, this is triggering me. Um, and since there's so many people who have misophonia who are now living at the house, it's become a lot more of like a thing that we have to work through, because
yeah.
there's a lot more character conflict that goes on because so many people have so many different triggers and they all deal with them so differently.
Okay,
And
yeah. So your
yeah,
triggers are fairly different, so it's hard to kind of like kind of centralize on like, okay, we're
exactly.
going to cut this out and everyone's happy, but it's
Yeah.
everyone's kind of triggering each other because you all have different triggers.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And my sister has the mostly visual triggers. It's a lot harder for her. She can't just put in earbuds and block it out.
Right.
And also she tends to be a lot more like upfront and blunt than the rest of us about things, which is I like that. It's a good trait. But when it comes to misophonia and like dealing sensitively with other people, it's a lot harder. And so that,
Yeah.
that's created a thing that we need to work on as a family, because we have other people in the family who are very sensitive and, who kind of, they blame themselves for things and stuff like that. And so we have some dynamics like that that make it really hard to work out, I guess.
Yeah, it's all this the guilt and shame that gets kind of thrown
Exactly.
around,
Yeah,
whether
and
it's
everybody's
whether
feeling guilty for things that other
yeah.
people are doing, and yeah.
Gotcha. And but are you the your younger siblings are probably still living at home permanent like
Yes.
full time, right? So
Yeah.
they haven't really spent a lot of time outside in the world, like
Yeah,
having to
that is
negotiate through
correct.
life together. So that'll be interesting, or might kind of smooth some things out,
Yeah. The sister
possibly.
has the visual trigger. She has like a full-time job, and she, is going to college part-time. So,
Mm,
she's experienced that more, but she's never lived anywhere except for the home. So,
yeah, yeah, gotcha. And I know I had my next door neighbor who's a pastor on the show. He's only got like one or two triggers, but like his uh, the church that he's pastor at is shut down basically until January.
yeah.
I think you go to church a lot.
Hmm.
Has that is that still going on? And is was that a trigger in the past? I hear from folks who go to church that churches are
Yeah.
definitely can be a not the best location. Um,
Yeah. So right now it's kind of 50-50. So
yeah.
the church that I go to in Mississippi, we're doing two services so that we can split people up, and we're live streaming the services. So, there's not a whole ton of people who actually attend the church. It's maybe 2/3 attendance,
Yeah.
but it is still, a pretty triggering situation. I play in the worship band most of the time, so, during the songs and whatever, I'm fine because I'm playing
What do you play, by the way?
music all around me. Pretty much anything, to be
Oh,
honest.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Guitar,
Nice.
bass, mandolin, drums,
Yeah.
whatever they need that week, pretty much.
Wow. That's cool.
But, during the sermon, there's just one guy talking up front. Everybody else is, dead silent. And
Ish. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. They're not making any talking noises. They're clicking pens and fidgeting and,
Right.
waving their legs, and all the little children are very restless.
Yeah.
And so I always sit in the very first row, and I always have my earbuds in with white noise. And that tends to help because I don't
I
get
think
the visual and
yeah, I forget. I know I've talked about this with a few people, and you might have been the first where we kind of like debated the back versus front of the room
yeah.
thing. And I'm with you. I think if I were in a situation like that, I would want to be in the front with the white noise or
Oh yeah. I'm
really
always a
loud
front
music.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got all your senses covered then,
Exactly. It's
unless
kind of like
unless
a
the
natural barrier with
yeah,
your head and
right.
your field of vision.
Right. And then hopefully the speaker is in front of a really, really big podium so you can't see anything stupid. Or she.
Yeah. Normally he's
Yeah.
pretty good about it. He hasn't done much
Yeah.
to trigger me. And if the speaker is mic'd properly,
Oh,
he
yeah.
won't
That's
be
the
he
other
won't be
thing.
noisy. But sometimes there's a pastor who, his voice just it's just not right. Maybe his mouth has some residue in it or something
Yep.
like that, and it's just bad.
Yep.
But
There's,
honestly, that's even worse in the live stream because you're only getting that. So I try to go to the regular services instead.
oh, did you say it's worse in the live stream?
Yeah, yeah, because
Okay.
in
Okay.
the in the actual, building, the you're not just getting the mic'd sound. You're also getting the natural sound, you're getting the reverb, you're getting the reflections, all that stuff. So it kind of masks it out to some extent. But on the live stream,
Yeah.
it's just what's coming in from the microphone, and it's normally very dry audio, and it's very up close. And so if there is any sort of triggering noise, it's going to be there, and it's going to be loud.
Well, you should do
So
what I do and just pump in some brown noise into the live stream, and then
I
it's
wish
all
I was in
good.
control of that.
Right. It would affect like one or two people probably listening, so it's probably not worth the
Yeah.
effort. People will look at you like you're a psycho.
They already do. It's okay. I'm used to
Yeah. Oh,
it.
so do the people do people at your well, yeah, maybe just at your church, do they know about your misophonia? Like, yeah, like outside of your family and
Yeah,
basically.
honestly, this is actually something that I kind of want to talk about. So I'm going to take that
Yeah,
question and make it broader, if that's
do it.
okay.
Of course.
So, at the church, like the people the band members, people like that, they kind of know that something is up with me. That sometimes
From the
noises bother
glare.
me.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully not from the glare anymore. I'm trying to
Okay,
get better
good.
with that.
Yeah.
But there's one guy, he chews gum and he's pretty loud with it. So if he's ever chewing gum during rehearsal, I'll be like, hey, can you stop chewing gum? He's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And so, they're like kind of aware that something is happening. I haven't really told them what it is. I think I've tossed out the name a few times, but for the most part, it doesn't cause problems. If they ask me to sit with them, it depends on how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, sure, no problem. Other times it's like, no, I'm gonna have to sit in the front. I can't deal with it today. Because one of them's like super restless, and he's
Yeah.
a drummer, and so he's constantly like drumming on things.
Oh God.
You know,
Yeah.
not to call him out or anything. He's a great, amazing dude. Love him to death,
His name
but
is Michael. No, just kidding.
no, I wouldn't do that
Yeah.
to him. No, but making that question broader,
Yeah.
telling people that's actually something that came up in the convention. That's another thing. Attended the convention,
Oh,
like what
this
was it
past
last
weekend?
weekend? Yeah,
Yeah, I thought I
it was
saw your name
awesome.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I
Right.
attended your little session. It was good to
Yeah.
like see your face combined with the voice and
Yeah.
have like a mental picture of what you look like now. So
Yeah.
that's cool. But
I
highly
forget if
recommend the
I shaved
convention.
in the middle of the convention, so might have been when I had my big beard, and then I shaved it the
I
next
think
day.
I
So
think it was a
clean
I think it was
shaven deal.
it wasn't clean shaven. You had the
Okay.
beard.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
which by
Gotcha.
the way,
All
I
right.
think looks great. You should keep it.
Okay.
It came up in the convention, like one of the sessions I attended was, how do you tell people? When do you tell people? That sort of thing. And something that I have started doing recently that I brought up in that session was I don't like to introduce it to people when I'm being triggered because we all know that's a landmine. Like there's so many
Yep.
things that could go wrong. If you let yourself slip for a second, you can get really angry and then you can accidentally blame the other person. They could get upset and they can make it worse and blah blah blah. So what I like to do is the people that I hang out with a decent amount, I like to just bring it up just kind of as a very small conversation point, just some random time. I'm not being triggered. We're all having fun. I'll bring it up as like talking about a past event or something like that, and I'll explain what it is very briefly. And then anytime we hang out, maybe not anytime, but sometimes when we hang out, I'll throw it out as a joke. Or if somebody's, going to get a snack and I know I can handle it, I'll just bring it up like, hey, better not eat for too long, and we'll just talk about it briefly. And so what I do is I bring it up in normal times so that when I'm triggered, I don't have to introduce it to them.
Yeah.
And it's also not, they know it's not like this gigantic, huge deal. It's just something that I have to deal with. And so far, that's worked out great. I don't know,
Okay.
how it's going to continue working. I've only been doing it for like 2 months, but the people that I hang out with, like they're super understanding now. They don't get upset about it. We can find a compromise normally. Like one of the guys I hang out with a lot, he was gonna eat some goldfish, and I was like, hey, how long are you gonna be eating that? And he was like, it's just gonna take me 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, I have a time box now. I can deal with this. It's perfect, and nothing bad happened. And so because he knew like why I was asking that, it was able to not be a bad situation, I guess.
Yeah. So when you first bring it up, and you say you bring it up quickly, I think that's kind of where people are kind of maybe get a little stressed out. It's like, okay, well, if I'm trying to bring it up and semi-casually and within like a short period of time, like they're worried about, okay, how should I phrase it? What should I say? Because like a lot of
Yeah.
pressure. Because if you f up that moment, like you said, it can be kind of a landmine. So do you have kind of something in your head that you you know some bullet points that you always hit?
Yeah, yeah. Normally, I mentioned it's some sort of processing disorder, neurological disorder, sound processing thingy, whatever you want to say. It makes it clear. It's like something that's happening physiologically in your brain.
And so you
And
say that it's happening to you? Because if you suddenly come out with that randomly and people come out and look at you with like really big eyes, like why are we?
honestly,
We were just talking about a movie, and now we're talking about your neurological disorder.
yeah, normally I just, it's something that I have, it's happening to me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
normally they're cool with it. Now I'm around college students, and
right.
we tend to be fairly aware, if not over aware, about that sort of thing. So it's a little easier for me. But yeah, I mentioned, it's a processing disorder. Certain sounds bother me. Um, that's really about it. I don't try to get into specifics. I don't try to give like a life
Yeah,
story, and I never ever get into like the thoughts and the reactions that we have because of it, because
no,
that's
yeah,
you don't want to
no,
tell that to someone unless you already
no.
have a solid friendship with them, and
Yes, yes,
that sort of thing. Because if you just blurt out to a random stranger, "Hey, I have murderous rage thoughts," sometimes they're not going to like you that
yeah,
much, unless
yeah.
they're a fellow misophone. Then it'll be an instant connection.
You
But
especially want to keep those keep that away from a school environment these days. So
exactly,
yeah,
yeah, that would not be good.
yeah, that's not going to hold up in court. So, anyways, okay, interesting. Yeah, no, that's great. Just to kind of keep it very kind of high level and
Yeah.
fairly short. And then the other question is like, how is it? Are you like, you know, is it people that you know relatively well, or is it someone that everyone in class kind of thing? People you just met. Like, how do you think about who to tell?
Yeah. For the most part, it's only people that I see somewhat regularly. Obviously, if there's a urgent situation, kind of an emergency situation, and someone needs to know, I will tell them. But for the most part, it's normally after I've hung out with someone a few times and I know that I'm going to be hanging out with them more, so I need to kind of, get this out in the open before it's too late. There was one time there's this guy who I was giving him a ride somewhere. First time I'd actually like met him in person. I kind of knew him and I knew we'd be hanging out more. And he got into the car and he was chewing gum and I was like, oh, okay, I have to say something. So I did say something and it turned out it was okay. He's fine. We're all cool. But normally I like to just tell people after I know them a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of person to stand up in class and be like, "Hey, everybody, I have a problem and I need you all to deal with it." You know.
Right.
um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess I mean, misophones, we're relatively self-aware compared to the general population, so we kind of
I
know,
would hope
well,
so. Yeah.
if it's obviously somebody that we're only going to see once, they don't need to know. But if it's
Yeah.
somebody
Exactly.
that we feel like we're going to see regularly, we can
Yeah.
also maybe cut those people some slack. But if it's people
Exactly.
we're going to see regularly, yeah, they need to they need to know and
Yeah.
get their act together.
And the,
um,
the the ironic thing is, like when I tell someone, and they know what it is, I automatically feel more comfortable, and so I can deal with the triggers better because I'm in a comfortable situation. And so if you tell someone about misophonia and if they know about it, for the most part, you won't have to bring it up as much in triggering situations. And it's a little counterintuitive, but
yeah.
that's been my experience so far.
Yeah. Yeah, and so you wanted to you said you want to talk about the kind of a broader in a broader manner. Is there anything else you want to say about like, how you share it with people outside of school even too, or some strategies you have there?
Um, I
Or
mean,
maybe not.
normally,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't really have much contact with people outside of school right now because
Yeah.
we're all locked down and stuff. I will say one more thing. Making it a joke can feel like you're minimizing yourself, but if you explain it first and then joke about it afterwards, that is super helpful. It's healthy for you. It makes other people feel more comfortable. It makes them know that it's still something that's important to you, but that you can take it. You know, you're not super serious about it.
Right.
And my experience so far has been, if I joke about it with people, when there's a triggering situation, it won't be very emotionally charged, but they'll still, do what they need to do to stop triggering me, which is good.
Yeah, that's kind of the ideal balance there.
Exactly.
Because humor humor is a great coping mechanism. I guess the one fear that some people would have is like if you joke about it too early, or
Hmm.
if is the other people around you actually going to take it seriously, or is
Exactly.
it,
That's the line to toe. Yeah, it's a tough
hmm
one.
hmm yeah. But I think it's a line worth worth going
Oh,
for.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, so another thing I want to talk about. So is this your freshman year at college?
Is this current year?
Yeah. Oh,
No,
actually, well, was last year your freshman year?
last year was sophomore year, so I'm a junior
Sophomore
now.
year. Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, you're in the middle of it. Regardless, in the past year, I had I think Natalie from UCLA who started the
Yeah.
student misophonia group. I just call it something different, misophonia support group or something like that. But
Yeah,
anyways,
I remember.
I was really excited to see that group first, and then have her on. Is do have you seen anything like that, or have met anyone else at your school to maybe start a group? Have you already thought about that?
I've actually thought about it a lot, and over the summer I did try to make some connections and get that to happen, but I personally don't know anyone on campus who has misophonia. There's one girl that I know. I think she has it, but it's not
Yeah,
very bad, and we
yeah.
don't really talk about it much. So other than her, I don't know anybody else. And I went to the student services people, and they were like, yeah, to make a student group, you have to have 5 members, blah blah blah.
Okay.
So, if I
Well,
meet
you'll need
5 people who have misophonia,
yeah.
I will absolutely start something. But for now, I can't really. So
So just try to trigger that girl as much as possible. Then you just need three more people, and then you're good.
I have seriously considered getting a table, and setting it outside the union,
Yeah,
and just like I've considered that. I don't know if I want to do it yet or not, but if I get desperate, I probably will. So
yeah. I wonder. I mean, you must have you just cork boards or bulletin boards around campus that you can just throw something up there. Maybe
yeah, I might be able to.
get somebody to notice, especially maybe near a library or dorm.
Yeah,
Um, Especially dorm, people are probably anyone with misophonia is probably running out of school, going back to their dorm. That may be a good
yeah.
time to
They're
catch them.
either in the dorm I'm in, or they're
Yeah,
off campus somewhere living by themselves. So
right, right. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. So, but and then so you haven't met anybody at school who's got miso, or at least is kind of aware of it, or talking about it. And yeah, I guess you don't really have, other than your family in school, you don't really have too much contact with people. But we may have covered this last time. But have you come across other people other than online who've got misophonia?
um,
Maybe I guess through church. I don't know if you would have met
I
anybody.
I know there's somebody, or at least a couple people. I think they were in person. I'm not sure, and I do not remember them at all. So I guess the answer is I think so,
Yeah,
but I don't really remember.
yeah,
For
yeah,
the
yeah,
for the
yeah.
most part, my communication with other misophones is either with my family or
Right.
online. Um, I've met a few people through your podcast. I met a few people in the
Yeah.
in the convention, and so keep
Yeah,
up
so
with
would you
them.
want to talk about I was at the convention, just obviously my talks. I had like two or three that I was a part of. But what were some of the other highlight sessions that you went to?
Okay. Well, some of the most fascinating ones I thought were, the medical research ones.
Hmm.
Especially Dr. Menino. He's all
Perennial
about like the
favorite. Yeah.
exactly neuroscience and physics and all sorts of cool stuff. Just genius. So that was really interesting to see the advancements in the study of like what's actually happening with our brains and how that connects with misophonia and stuff like that. Um, I attended one talk with Dr. Jaffe. That was the one about how to tell people, when to tell people. That was a really good. It was kind of like an open
Yeah.
group discussion. That was good.
Right.
Yeah, all in
Yeah,
all, just
that's
the presentations about the actual science of it. Those were my favorite, apart from discussions.
Yeah, yeah. No, it'd be good to hopefully next year we'll be in person. We get to kind of get everyone together in one place. It's always a good
Yeah,
time to I think we were trying to get it. They were trying to get it to be in I think Philadelphia this year, but
yeah.
obviously that fell through. Maybe they'll try that again next year
I
or
hope
find a new
so. I
location.
hope at least
But
it's like a hybrid, because I'd
mhm.
really prefer to, meet people in person. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of people are afraid of that, but I can tell you that a lot of us go there because the in person part of it is yeah, you can't beat that. That's
Yeah,
even though we're all misophones, there's something about that just being surrounded by other misophones. I mean, I guess
exactly.
you get to do that all the time at home, but it's probably a little different.
It's definitely
Be around
different.
people who
Yeah,
have different life stories, but are
yeah,
all kind of have this common um, illness.
yeah. I will say the most unexpected thing for me was how comfortable I felt. Like, normally, I'm really good at talking to new people. I'm a fairly outgoing person. I can kind of put myself out there. But there's always, like a level of stress and stuff like that. When I got on like the first, group calls on Thursday evening, like I felt completely comfortable. It was like I already knew all these people. It was like I was continuing a conversation that we'd had earlier. Very, very surreal experience.
Yeah, man,
Like
that's right.
I just joined a call. I jumped
Yeah,
in. They were talking about something. I piped in a little bit, and then we talked for 2 hours, and it was like, wow, I I have not met these people before, but I automatically feel an
yeah,
instant connection with them. And it's not
yeah,
even like we spoke a connection. We didn't talk about, oh, we all have misophonia. We're the same. It was just something that I felt, you know?
yeah,
Really, really cool experience.
yeah. No, it's that's exactly how. Yeah, that you couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's how it's always felt like when I've gone in person. It's like even if you don't know, even if you haven't said a one word, you kind of know half of them because you
Yeah,
know this
exactly.
gigantic part of it. So um, yeah, sometimes we just. I mean, a lot of time we're all a lot of us are introverts. You're more of an extrovert.
No, I'm
Even
I'm
the
I'm an
introvert.
introvert for sure.
Yeah, even the introverts are just chatting up with each other
Yeah.
and but then even we can just wallow in silence and we feel comfortable and we kind of feel like we know each other. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's pretty amazing.
There
Um,
are if you don't mind me butting in, there are
yeah,
two
yeah.
things that I want to get to before the interview's over, if
Oh,
that's
of
okay.
course, yes. That was my next thing. I was gonna be like, yeah, I want to hear what else
Okay,
we need
perfect.
to catch up
So
on.
they can kind of come from this conversation about the convention.
Yeah,
One of the sessions I attended was by Dr. Menino. He was talking about yoga and movement and related to misophonia, and that kind of got me thinking about something I've been doing recently that I hadn't really thought about. But after the session, I thought about it, and I was like, "Wow, that's really important." So something that I started doing this semester, especially, is taking more care of like my physical health. Because in the past I've kind of been, lackluster. I eat kind of healthy. I exercised occasionally. I got some sleep. I drank some caffeine. But this semester I really wanted to crack down and and work on my
yeah,
physical health. And so, I've been doing weight workouts every morning. I cycle 3 times a week. I use a boxing bag twice a week. I've been doing yoga whenever I get the chance. And something interesting that happened is when I started doing those things and when I started getting more sleep, regular sleep, and I have basically cut off caffeine completely, like my misophonia suddenly got way less sensitive. I
mm,
wasn't really expecting that, but I've been able to deal with triggers recently that I could never have dealt with last year. Stuff that would have sent me into a panic attack last year, I can handle without earbuds in. And it's literally that drastic. It's
yep,
it's not like oh, it's slightly better. It's like night and day how different it is. And by no means is my misophonia cured. I still have triggers. I still have all the reactions. It's still tough. But it's just like such a drastic difference in 2 months of regular, exercise and stuff. And I was listening to my interview last year, partially because I just wanted to hear what I sounded like back then, and partially to
Yeah.
know what I talked about. And one of the things I said was, you asked me what my coping mechanisms were, and I said headphones was my biggest thing, like earbuds and headphones playing white noise. That was what I considered kind of the most important coping mechanism. And honestly, at this point, I'd kind of have to disagree because you know, earbuds are great. They help in the emergency situations. Nothing beats them for blocking out trigger noises. But now I kind of think that that's secondary to like the physical health and sleep
Sleep and
schedule and
exercise.
stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't think that people say, yeah, if you work out, your emotional health will be better, blah 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 blah. And I kind of believed it. I kind of bought it. Didn't really do much with it, but honestly, just 2 months, even 1 month of regular working out and like doing stuff like that. And yeah, it takes 2 hours out of my day, but being like totally honest, that is the biggest difference I've seen with anything I've done about misophonia ever. It's better than earbuds. It's better than, any sort of drug you might take. It's better than therapy. It's better than, playing mind games with yourself, trying to think your way out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to bring up in the interview is, you know, a lot of people I've been on the support groups on Facebook, stuff like that. And, in your interviews, people are normally talking about their life stories and stuff, and that is fantastic. And something I wanted to add to that is, kind of instead of ranting like on the support groups and stuff like that, I kind of wanted to give I guess, a success story. It's not exactly a success story. I am very much in the middle of it, and
Yeah.
it's not cured my misophonia by any means. But I kind of wanted to give, I guess, encouragement to people and something to do, because it's not like exercising is this huge life changing thing. You don't even have to do everything that I do, and it's not like you're, you know, getting surgery or going to therapy 3 times a week and trying to like rewire your brain or anything. It's just something simple you can do. 20 minutes. You just
Yeah.
do a quick, workout in the morning, go for a run, anything. If you do that regularly, like that's probably going to help your misophonia more than anything else, because I know it has for me.
And has many other benefits too.
Yeah, exactly.
And just reinforces misophonia is just part of your. I mean, it's a health issue, and
Exactly.
and yeah, I mean, and obviously we've talked many times that it's exacerbated by stress. So
Mm-hmm.
and exercise and sleep, any you know any issues with that will cause stress. So yeah,
Exactly.
that's great that
Yeah.
that's been working out for you, and I hope yeah, definitely more people exercise better, try to get more sleep, because I think is it, do you feel like it's the you say you're still getting triggered, but does it feel like that recovery period is getting shorter, like being able to come
Yeah.
back,
Yeah, the
snap back?
recovery period is way shorter.
Is
My
it the peakers that
tolerance
are
for
lower?
triggers.
Okay, okay, tolerance for triggers, yeah.
Yeah, so normally it's with the smaller triggers that I can deal with better. At
Yeah.
this point, if it's a small trigger, I can just gloss over it and barely have any
Yeah,
reaction. I can
that's
deal with it so
huge.
quickly.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if there's 5 people eating around me and I have to deal with that for 30 minutes, yeah, I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna have a panic attack, because that's
Yeah.
just what happens with my brain. But
Right.
just average day-to-day situations and experiences, it's become increasingly to the point where I kind of just gloss over the triggers. I deal with them and I move on. There's no pause. There's no, okay, I have to sit for five
Yeah.
minutes and recover. It's much more just like it's like I'm stepping over a pebble instead of trying to climb a step, I guess,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Of course, yeah. That's huge because I think a lot of triggers get are probably I wonder what that threshold is. Someone should maybe do a study of like
Yeah.
how many triggers are that low level. I don't mean low level in a way to minimize them, but low level in the sense that if you were to you have a simple exercise program and make sure you monitor your sleep, that you
Yeah.
can actually get over that, because that's I mean that's not insignificant. That could be life changing in
Oh
terms of
yeah,
your productivity.
yeah. Well, it's
And
all about the buildup.
yeah,
It's all about you get triggers and you have to deal with them, and the more triggers you get, the harder it's going to be. And this isn't scientific at all, but basically what I think about my exercise doing
we're not a science
is it's
podcast. Don't worry, just keep talking.
it's like the triggers, fill up this buffer, and then exercising, empties the buffer. It makes it smaller. And so if you
Gotcha.
if you keep that, if you kind of get that to an equilibrium, you'll be able to handle most triggers in a fairly normal way. And yes, you'll still have misophonia. Like I still, like, one of the most important things in my life. It, captivates my thoughts constantly, but it's not like it's ruining my life anymore.
Yeah, that's
It's
great.
it's more of something that I can deal with every day. And if there is a bigger situation, I will have to take bigger measures. But for the most part, that has been amazing. And also, caffeine. I love caffeine. Caffeine is the best. It makes me so much more productive. It makes me concentrate so much better. But I got off caffeine this semester, and my misophonia just instantly got better. Like, after I took a week off caffeine,
Really?
I noticed a huge
Yeah.
difference. And that makes me sad because I love my energy drinks. I love the sharp focus it gives
Yeah,
me. I'm a
Mr.
super,
3 times a day monster.
exactly, super productive, like, easily
Yeah.
addicted to caffeine person. And I kind of just had to accept that I'm not going to be able to do that because it's not worth the consequences.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, because I never drank coffee much for a long time, except very recreationally, and then sounds like a drug, but well, I guess it is a little
Exactly.
bit. But I mean, lately I've been drinking it more just out of habit. I'm at home and whatever, it
Yeah,
smells good.
exactly.
I don't need it. I don't know, feel like I have kind of a natural energy when I'm motivated about a project, but I haven't really noticed it maybe make my misophonia worse. Like you definitely could, notice a big change.
Oh, huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I should
It was
test that out
actually
too.
I'm an engineer, but I have, like, somewhat of a scientific mind. I was conducting
Yeah,
experiments, on myself, basically.
yeah.
That's what this semester has been. And so I conducted an experiment with the caffeine. I didn't change anything else in my life except for drinking caffeine. And I was drinking caffeine one week, and then I wasn't drinking caffeine the next week. And I compared,
Uh-huh.
my triggers. And obviously, there's other variables. I couldn't control my sleep completely. Exercise wasn't completely constant, but for the most part, the caffeine was the large variable. And I did notice a huge difference in
Less
my
people got punched in
misophonia
the face.
and my
Yeah.
general mood. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There was much less of that.
Interesting. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Yeah, I really like that analogy you said earlier about the buffer filling up, and with more exercise, that's you're kind of clearing that out more and more, so it's not
Exactly.
overflowing. It's kind of
Yeah.
like water boiling and keeping the temperature just enough, just low enough that it doesn't overflow.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And a punching
Cool. Well,
bag
this,
has helped
yeah.
dramatically with that.
Right.
Like,
Right.
emptying all those angry thoughts. You just bring all the stuff up to the surface and you punch it out.
Yeah.
You feel a lot better afterwards.
So do you actually think about? I mean, punching bags are a great exercise, but I'm curious if in your mind you ever um, come back from a trigger or kind of imagine that you're punching out misophonia.
Consciously, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Cool.
kind of part of the exercise. Is I bring all that stuff up. I put on my heavy metal. I just kind of get in the zone, and
Yeah.
I just get all the anger out in a constructive way instead of stuffing it in. Because I'm a huge stuffer. I like to suppress things. I don't
Yeah.
like
A
emotions.
lot of us
And
do.
so,
Yeah.
you know, it takes some practice, but it's also a good way to gauge how stressed out I am.
Yeah.
Because the more I bring to the punching bag, the more stressed out I am. If I don't bring as much, I know I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah. Very cool. Before we get to your heavy metal recommendations, is there anything else you wanted to share, maybe that
Yeah,
you've
there was
learned over the last year? Yeah.
one last thought, and it kind of came from the convention, kind of came from my own thoughts over the summer, because I was dealing with misophonia in a whole different way, with the virus, and being it with my family when I didn't expect to, and all the other things that combined this summer. I was really thinking a lot about misophonia, and there was kind of like a paradigm shift that happened in the way I thought about it. And this is very thin ice, what I'm about to go on to. So
That's what
I
we're all
tried to write
about.
it out. I tried to write it out so that I actually said what I was thinking. Um, so I feel like back when I first figured out what misophonia was, and a lot of us, when we first developed misophonia, we kind of think about it in terms of we're the victim and they're the perpetrator. They're doing the triggers and we're being harmed by them. Or like, they're the triggerer and we're the triggerees, I guess.
Yeah.
But over the summer, kind of a shift happened, and I kind of stopped thinking like that. I stopped assigning blame to people. Um, the way I started thinking about it is, my brain just happens to react to sounds differently than other people. So I need to take steps to handle that. It's kind of like putting on reading glasses when you have to read something. It's just your body handles things in a different way. And so, you have to do something to help because your body can't handle that specific environment on its own.
Mm.
So, and I'm not saying that, oh, this is completely our problem, it's your fault, you have to deal with it on your own, nothing like that. If you need to ask someone else to stop, you should absolutely do that. I do that a lot more so than I have in the past. And but it's not like, hey, you're doing this to me, you need to stop. It's like, hey, there's this thing in my brain, can we work together so that we can handle the situation? It's not a there's no blame, there's no guilt, there's nothing like that. Nobody's doing anything against anybody else. It's more just, okay, there's this thing, I'm going to deal with it however I need to deal with it. And if that includes asking other people to stop, I will do that. If that means leaving a room, I'm going to do that. It's not a bad thing, it's just a thing. And ever since I started thinking about it that way, it's been a little bit easier to talk to people about it. It's been a little bit easier to ask people to stop. Um, it hasn't like made my misophonia better, but it's given me much more of a productive approach to handling it, I guess. And I brought that up in one of the discussions at the conference. It started the whole thing. Like, there were people on both sides. It was a debate. It was fun, very exciting. And so
Yeah.
I know it's thin ice. I know people have very different opinions on it, and some people really hate the idea of thinking about it like that. But it's really helped me. And if it helps you, yay, I guess. But I just wanted to share that, and I wanted to share it in a way where I'd actually thought it out and written it down, so I said what I was thinking,
Yeah.
because
Well, it's about
it's
kind of
icy ground.
consciously, yeah. Well, it's about consciously kind of maybe consulting yourself first, right, before um, assigning blame or anything to somebody else.
Yeah,
And it's come
yeah,
up a few times on the podcast where it's like, at least in terms of how to phrase it to other people, by not
mm-hmm,
necessarily coming out in the first sentence being like,
exactly.
"You need to stop hurting me. You're going to kill me," and instead, kind of framing it as, um, I have my brain has problems processing certain types of sounds, and you happen to be making that sound right now. Um, and so, yeah, it's interesting that there would be a kind of a debate. I can see how it's a touchy subject because
Oh yeah, oh, very touchy. Yeah,
our our brains have been wired for years and decades to kind of assign a fear factor to something
exactly.
else.
Yeah,
But the easiest person, the most convenient person we have to talk to is ourselves. So
exactly.
might as well
Yeah,
start there. And if you can make some progress, like it seems like you have, that's great.
yeah,
Um, that's great, dude. We've covered like physical and mental kind of health and kind of how to kind of take care of both. This has been super helpful.
yeah. I
And
hope it's helpful for some people who are
yeah,
listening.
we'll have to when I do the new website, I'll have to have like workout routines and on little misophonia pickup recovery workout routines or something. Um, do you yeah anything else you want to share that you've kind of come up with or heard recently?
Man,
Well, that might be it. I mean, I'll cut this part out if it's like those are two huge, really helpful subjects already. So
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I wrote some talking points down, and
yeah,
we've covered all the talking points.
sweet.
So,
Cool. Well, Tim, yeah, it's been great to catch up. The first kind of catch up episode, first person to be on the podcast twice.
yeah,
Yeah,
very
thanks so
exciting.
much. Yeah, great insights here. And but this is not the last we've heard from Tim. I think your project, your secret project that you're working on, I think is going to be potentially groundbreaking for
I really hope
Misophonia.
so.
And really, yeah, really grateful that you're working on that, and I wish you the best of luck. And I can't wait to hear good stuff from that.
Yeah, it was good catching up with you too, Adil. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, and hope to see you in person, maybe at the next convention.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Tim. Always great to catch up with my Miso friends, and in this case too, super excited about this project Tim is working on. If there are any more developments, I'll be sure to report here on the show. Remember, you can reach out at any time on Instagram or Facebook at Misophonia Podcast, and Twitter at Misophonia Show. If you're enjoying the shows, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can just actually hit the stars. You don't even have to write anything. Music, as always, is by Moby, and until next week, wishing you peace and quiet.